into today's design, redesigning a little bit, but you know, that's just YouTube waking up in the morning, at least for me. So, Corinne, I see you there. Good morning. Jan Tillert, Andreas, Susan Norsh, Michelle, Cody Bear's in the house. Good to see you. Like Cody Bear says, good to see you all. Carol and everyone. Cool. So, Anthony from Marseille, France. Somewhere I've never been. I'd love to go. Trying to think of where I get to take my sabbatical, which is a month off, and I'm trying to figure out where to go. So that'll be fun. So yeah, I'll be buffing a little bit, and just tell me. And yeah. Cool. All right. Okay. Michelle says it is good, so I'll go ahead and get started. All right. Yes, redesigning logos. Sharing my screen here, as you can see, and we can also talk about what we did last week, just so you know. All right, Stephen Booth, come to the UK. I might go to Portugal and Morocco. So that's currently the leading thought. All right, here we are. Here's what we created last week. I'm gonna just jump it in and share my screen. Here we are. Cool. Hello, Andreas. All right, so you can see what I have here. Actually, I already gave away one of these. Shame on me. This fun logo. Yeah, and I had some fun experiments that we could play with as well. And experiments and resources as well. Let's see if I can open up this one. This one will be fun. And I did this a lot last week. I thought this was just fun to do. Look away, look away. And if you're following me on the socials, you probably already know what this is. But I was doing this last week and basically did it with the Apple logo. I've done it with like a number of logos. But right in here, we'll just go ahead and grab the Shape Builder tool. You can see it off to the side. Shape Builder. Okay. So from here, we can like pick a color, but hold down the Option key and start removing. You guys probably already know what this is. But again, we're just warming up today, shall we? Just warming up. That's right. Guess the logo. I think it's fun to see how brands have made their logo. Right? So like, what does it take? Right? What is it made up of? Might have messed that one up. You guys already know what it is. I don't even need to look at chat. I know. You guys know. Again, the Option key kind of removes, and then if I don't use the Option key, right, it's going to start combining all these together, right? This part. Remove that. You get the idea. I've done this before. Again, I've done it with a number of files. But you get the idea. Let's squint my eyes. There it is. Found it. I sometimes have to squint my eyes to find the logo in the shapes. That's what I tend to do. Or tilt your head to the side. Do you ever do that? I don't know why we do that. But there's the Twitter logo. You get the idea. Happy Friday, everyone. You know that we know. All right. There we go. Boom. Yeah, it's back there, but there's the Twitter logo. So we did this with a number of logos even last week. You kind of see how a lot of these were broken down. This one you could probably guess as well. Kind of already gave it away. But we'll still jump in and take a look. Cutting out parts. Yeah. So self-serving of me to throw this one in the mix. Right, so there we are. I could use the, what is it, the Anyways, you guys can see the A. Let's actually switch back to the shape builder, change the color, do select all, and yeah, there we go. Boom, boom, boom. Cool. Shout out to Max going on next week. Joanna, you know, it's the little comments that we get, the little messages that we get in chat that really fuel our whole day. So thank you so much for that. Ol Sashan, thank you. So there we are. Pretty cool. We also made the Nike logo. We saw how all this was broken down, right? Again, you don't need to have me review it, but there's the Nike logo made up of a bunch of shapes and lines, right? I did that with the Apple logo, right? We can see that's made up of a bunch of circles, sort of using a lot of the golden mean. We can look at this one. What does this look like? Looks like a target, right? But again, if you start to separate it out, and maybe we could do this again with the shape builder as well. Let's flip this. Let's actually do this with color. So it's like boom, boom. And I could use shape builder, or I could use live paint bucket. Live paint bucket will start sorting through all of these colors. If I open up this panel right here, and let me actually enlarge the large thumbnail view. So the paint bucket will start just kind of going through all of those swatches. So here's black, and then blue is in there. But I really need black at this point. And click there. Right, you could see it. This is the BMW logo. Right, done, done. There we are. We can make it shiny in 3D and all that stuff. Right, we did the Spotify. Let's move on to something else, because we're going to make some new things. And I wanted to talk about the different logo types as well. So since we're talking about making logos, I think this is a great resource. You could get into more specifics, because you could break this down some more, right? But there's basically like 5 different logo types. There's the symbol, which is the Apple logo. We have letter marks. This is what a lot of people will do with their name. So it's like your MR, right? This is what most people will do, is they'll do like a letter mark. So this is for Matthew Roberts. Right in here and be like, okay, how would we make sort of a logo, or excuse me, a letter mark using your initials? Because everybody does this, and it's totally fine. It's like a monogram, right? Same thing. From there, let's actually pick a sans serif. Ooh, I even like Alfran. Oh, I love how fat this is. Look at how bold this is. Look at how nice and bold this is. Right, and we can start to simplify, because a lot of times you're going to be simplifying a logo into just its basic components while still making it legible and interesting, of course. Right, so let's ungroup this. Probably didn't even need to do that, but again, this is one easy solution, is just move that over, and there you have this first attempt at a logo. Cool. There's Matthew Roberts, right? We could have some fun kind of creating some gradients in here. Let's just use Pathfinder and throw a fun gradient in there. Why do I not have my gradients in here? This is why I typically make a startup file, because I can't stand making gradients, because I make them way too much. But they're in my other files. Where are all my gradients? Man, come on now. Who knows? I was gonna throw a gradient in here, and I still can. But right, Dunzo, Chris Georginas. What's up, buddy? So this is Dunzo. So from there you have sort of your basic sort of letter mark in this case, which is a logo, and then from there you would probably start to riff off it a little bit, because say for digital it might look a little bit different, or you might give it a little bit more polish, and then print might be more of a straightforward version of it. So Command A. I know this title of this says recreating popular logos or famous logos, right? Hey, Matthew Roberts, you're famous, right? Hey, why not? Throw a gradient in there. Is everybody excited for Max next week? Starts on Tuesday. everybody, probably Chris Georginas, like everybody's just like super slammed, still working on stuff, I could imagine. I know I am, right? There's like no sleep for us. So, okay, so I did pick some colors for this, right? And typically you don't want to pick colors just to pick colors. You have to do it with a purpose, right? So if I decided to go with these nice tones, I'd want to do that because I want good old Matthew Roberts to appeal to the overall business community. Blue is, excuse me, they say what? Blue is like 40% of the population. Blue is their favorite color. It's the color of the sky, the water. There's so many positive things associated with blue, which is why it's always a good choice. Added a subtle gradient in there because that's where we're at these days. It's currently like a trend, just adding these like subtle bright gradients, but it gives it some like a freshness to it, which I like, right? So again, super cool. Just like pick a color for a reason, right? If you want to use red, that's going to be more excitement. It could be danger because again, blood is red. So that's a thing, right? So just think about why you use colors. And if we take a look at the brands, there we go. We can start to see kind of what they're trying to do, right? So you have Target, right? That's going to be a little bit of excitement. We expect a Target to be red. A lot of food brands are going to be like orange and red and warm because you want your food to be hot and fresh. And those colors are found largely on plates, beige, right? BP, yeah, look at you trying to be all organic and stuff, huh? Come on now. Right, letter marks, you can see right in here, again, the colors associated with them and all sorts of things. Oops. Cool. Is it okay that we talk about this stuff? Word mark, I'm going to take a drink of my coffee. I love blue as well. Blue is my favorite color, as you can tell by my shirt. My mom's always like, you need to wear more blue. You look so good in blue. Okay, Google's kind of the search for everything, right? So they have this palette, and they kind of needed this palette for all the products that they actually use. Right? Yeah, just kind of into it. Coca-Cola, Canon, you guys could read. But these are the word marks. So if you do have a brand, like I love the brand Sonos. Because you have Sonos, which again, they just use a word mark, but it's also an ambigram. So if you take this and rotate it and rotate it and rotate it, wait, what's happening? What? It says the same thing upside down and right side up. Right? Super cool, right? We could have some fun with this, and I'm surprised they don't do this. Let's just make this a different color. Let's put this behind. We'll rotate this almost 180. Let me think about this. What I'm doing now is hurting my brain. But let's go ahead and blend these two together. Blend, blend. Add easily 100, if not 200, maybe 160 steps, right? And I probably need to flip those colors as well. But let's play with this. So I'm bending this around. I need to change the color of this top one. So the problem is most people don't know that this is like an ambigram. All right, so now I need to develop this along a curve. My brain is just thinking about how to do this. I went and created this blend. This path right here, of course, we can modify like so. And let's make sure that's rotated all the way around. Let's actually just double click. We're now inside of this. Let's rotate it. Right? I'd want to rotate it almost 180 degrees and then bend this line in the shape of a circle. So hit P, add another point. A, I should have started out with a circle as well. I could always replace this line if I want to. But let's make this a circle if I could. Wait for it. Yep. Pardon my mess. Pardon the mess, folks. Pardon the mess. It'll be apparent in a second. I really need to rotate this all the way around, and this needs to be a perfect circle. Okay, you get the idea, right? It's a double click back out. There it is. Sonos. Yes, it's mind bending. I really need to replace this with a complete circle. So let's take an ellipse. Here's my ellipse. Let's make sure we can see it. Hello, line. And then let's just like use the eraser tool. And I could actually cut this if I really wanted to be exact, which I probably do because, hey, this is Illustrator, and that's why we love Illustrator. Just use the scissors tool. We cut it right there. So now we have these two different points, right? So kind of move that out. Here's this. So we can, I should be able to select these two. Now, there's actually a couple different ways to do this. Let's go to Object, into Blend, Replace, Spine. There we go. We've replaced it. And I accidentally grabbed that one. So that is still there. Did it replace it? Oh yeah, it did replace it. Perfect. So it did what we wanted it to do. Okay. We'll move this off to the side. We'll deal with this later. We'll just make sure we can see it. But now we have it replaced. We'll double click to go inside. We'll select this point like so. Wait for it. And a lot of times Command Y if this stuff is getting in the way, right? Or being confusing, right? And there that is. And then this one, we can always go to our, when it comes to selecting, we can go to our layers panel. If things are getting in the way, I'll typically like lock them down, right? And you could also do that right up here. Again, lock should be Command 2. Let's just double check to make sure I have that right, because again, I'm trying to select the one behind it. So yeah, Command 2 to lock it. Now let's just grab this one underneath, rotate it into place. And by the way, I want it to be a perfect 180 right over here. It's always going to remember your original position. So 180, there we are. It goes all the way around. We have everything matched up. That took a long time. Command Y. Boy, that still does not look very good. You know what? You win some, you lose some. Wasn't quite as cool as I thought it was going to be. All right, maybe this line needs some more work. It really does. But anyways, let's kind of move on. I really want to bend this in. I so desperately want to bend that in. But let's move on, because we're talking about recreating logos. And no, I would not use pink for that. Okay, let's move on. You guys get the idea. What advice do you have on how to decide whether to use a word mark, logo, or another type of logo for a brand? That's a great question. And I haven't even gone through all of the different types. It should be driven it's going to be driven by a number of reasons, right? It's going to be driven by the brand. It's going to be driven by your competitors, right? Are your competitors using sort of a letter mark? Is the name of your company, is it short enough to maybe use it for a letter mark, right? Lots of TV stations are letter marks, and sometimes they're a combo, by the way. So we have combination marks as well. So it doesn't have to either be either or. It could be like both and, right? but you still need to be able to, in my opinion, you need to be able to separate out the logo from the type, ultimately, is where you want to be. Okay, so again, it's driven by the name of the brand, typically your competition, and honestly, where this is going to show up. So if I'm doing a mobile app, I probably don't want to do a full-on letter mark, right? Because if you think about it, think about Instagram. Let's open up Instagram. Right, Instagram, give it a second. Do you know Instagram as being this sort of letter mark, or do you know it as the icon, right? So there's this letter mark created by, is it Mikey Saturday? Did he clean this up? I think it's Mikey Saturday. Anyways, so, or do you know it as the actual sort of logo icon? So that's hopefully your answer right there. And shameless self-promo for me. All right, so emblems are also good, right? So again, where's it going to appear? Stuff like that, okay? And honestly, what you want to convey. So we're not creating pretty pictures. We're actually reinforcing the brand, or basically saying what the brand is if you can't read it. So say, for instance, if it wasn't in, say, English or whatever native language it is, could you still tell that this is these two C's are like a fashion brand, right? Or this is a station, or this is, like, these two both look, if you didn't know any better, CNN and NASA, those could be both technology, well, they both are kind of technology companies, but they could both be like space exploration companies. They're not that far off from one another, yet one is news and one is space exploration. Cool. So again, interesting. Let's talk about even resources. You saw them out here, and I'll paste some of these in chat. I'll do sometimes a search right in here. So it's like, if your brand is Musify, I think that's what we were doing last week, right? Go into the M's, right? It's okay to look out there and say, like, okay, what are the different M's out there? The different ways you can execute an M. And this is just fun to look at to get like inspiration, right? These are still brands for places, but it's just cool to see the different M's out there in this case, right? Totally awesome. Oh, come on now. Come on now, people. That's so good. Oh yeah, so yeah, Stony Braslov, you're exactly right. So you can go in your properties panel if you do want to make something. And this happens all the time. Do you ever do this, by the way, in Illustrator? You'll have a circle and you'll like rotate it a little bit, like it'll be off. And this annoys the heck out of it. It annoys the heck out of me. Let me zoom in on this, right? Is having everything askew, right? It's exactly where you want it to be. And maybe it's some sort of animal or something, but you want it to be flush. Yes, you could use this, right? And change that to 0. Another thing you could do is you could reset. Let's see if this is, hopefully I'm not proven a liar. Let's turn this into an actual shape of sorts. So let's just do, bear with me. So we're making a logo mark. And we're going to take this. This is our logo mark, okay? I'm going to rotate it like so. Well, anyways, this is proving me to be a liar. I want to point out this. You could reset the bounding box. Okay, so if anything is ever askew, go into transform and reset the bounding box, and it will set it to 0, 0 again, right? This is kind of already set up, but let me rotate it some more. Reset bounding box. Anyways, you get it. Logo book is fun. Just checking out chat. How's everybody doing this fine day? So yeah, logo books, one resource. There's a ton of these if you literally just search for logos. A lot of them are ad driven, which is kind of annoying, which is why I kind of like Logo Book. It's like, yeah, there are some ads, but it's not as bad as some of these other sites you're going to see. Like, clearly driven by ad revenue, which is totally fine. But yeah, Logo Lounge, right in here. So let's just type M and see what we get in here. I don't even know if we're going to get anything. But you could see all the M logos in here. Not quite as many. Join Logo Lounge to see them all, basically. So if I sign up, hey, that's how I can see more. So Logo Lounge, you get the idea. Logoed, right? logoed.uk, right in here. And again, this is just going to be inspiration, which stuff like this is awesome. Love this. Right? Logo of the day. Here again, logooftheday.com, and you get a logo a day, and you can sign up for more. But again, pretty cool. Great logo right here alone. Look at that. I do. Perfect. Right? It's a marriage. Locking things together. Right? You almost want to see it as an infinity symbol would be something cool to play with. As in, like, we're going to be together forever. Right? Save right? Amazing. All right. So let's move on. You guys have all those resources. And I'm going to get back to designing, if you guys don't mind. What the heck was this anyways? Wanted to kind of take the worst logos, so worst logos of all time, right? Or the worst designed logos. If you do a search here, be careful, by the way, because a lot of them are just not for public consumption, right? A lot of them are just like not good. And I don't need to explain more. You can Google it. But you can see right in here all the wonderful logos. Let me just talk about two things because I kind of want to make a fashion brand. Is that okay? Or we could do something else. But essentially, the Gap is one that typically gets caught a lot for their flack. Remember this, there is this logo, but do you remember the old logo that it used to have? So let's go back a little bit. Wait for it. There it is. I think for a heartbeat, they changed it to this. And I know it's scrunched, but that's actually the logo that it was for a hot second. And everybody was like, this is the worst logo ever, right? So then they quickly changed it back. Another one is Zara. I think Zara had an interesting logo branding situation going on, right? Zara using that wide kerning to being super tight, right? So that's the 2020 version. So a lot of people think that the next version of Zara, we'll go in here, we will just change this to sans serif. And then here's like Zara in 2030. There you go. The way it's heading now, this is what Zara's logo should look like. Oops. Ah. I'm on the struggle bus. You get it. There you go. Zara 2030. All right. Cheers. Yes, Cody Bear. Can you believe? Here's the two things about that. Yes, horrible designers, but amazing salesmen. Like the talkers in that meeting. If you're the design company, imagine you are such a good salesman to pitch such a bad logo. Right? Can you believe it? Like, you have to be so good at selling things to people that don't know any better. So you gotta do your, we have to do our job. We have a responsibility to do our job to make a better logo, right? Again, if we did Gap, I want to do Gap real fast. And honestly, I'm going to come up with a different, I don't know if I'm really on fire today. But, again, we could take the Gap, which I feel like has really struggled with its logo and as a brand, to be honest with you, right? So here we have Gap. We'll take what it currently is. And we're gonna do a Gap knockoff, right? But we need a starting point, so that's gonna allow us to talk about kind of where we're at, and compare it against this one, right? So just wait, paste that in there, shrink that down, right here. There we go. So this is the brand that we're gonna work on, okay? Basically, it's a word mark. That's what Gaps is. Looks like this. We could take this, we could figure out what font it is by going to Photoshop, because I'm curious, and we might get it, we might not. I can't tell you if this is going to be a font in Adobe Fonts or not, but this is just how we're going to find out. We're going to go to Match Font in Photoshop and just see what we get. Yeah, we know it's a Roman font. And, excuse me, and it knows it as a thin font. Niagara. Yeah, so, or Vincent. From there, I'm just going to install a couple of these fonts. I'm using Photoshop just to install these fonts. I don't really need these fonts, but that's how we can figure out kind of the starting point, right? Go back in here. By the way, I guess maybe Illustrator could use that feature. I don't know. Let's turn off your filter, so clear all. Oh, come on, buddy. It should be installing now in the background. Can I do one other little logo quiz for you? Do you guys mind? Let me do one more logo quiz since I have this handy. All right, so give me a second to set it up. It is pop quiz time, folks. Give me 1 second. Because I don't want to give away the name of the... All right, you ready for this? This is going to go fast. Let me know if you could tell what logo this is. You ready? Quiz time. Here we are. You ready for this? It's gonna literally last 18 seconds. Any guesses yet? Before I hit continue? Any guesses? I gotta pause it because it goes so fast. Yes, I agree, Amy. Add that feature to Illustrator. And this pepper. Nope. Jan, good guess. The colors are going to be throwing you off. So don't think about the color, because that's probably what's like throwing everybody off. Boom! Carol nailed it. Let's just watch it come together. There we are. The Adobe logo. How sweet. Oh, shameless self-promo. Geez, do you work for that company or something, Paul? Gosh. Enough with your heavy-handed sales techniques. But there it is, the Adobe logo. Just kind of broke it up into different parts, which we worked out earlier. But it's still fun to take a look at, huh? I hope you thought that was fun. All right, let's get back to our brand. And we're just going to knock this out real fast. Command H, we have the Gap. So we're going to have a competing company to the Gap. Sorry, Gap. I just don't want to use the exact same name. Right? This one is going to be a direct competitor. You ready for this? Called Space. There we are. And maybe that's dumb. But this is a fashion brand. Brand. And it's going to be affordable. So it's going to be along the lines of competitors are Zara, Gap, what's the H&M, right? That's the idea. An affordable fashion brand. That's similar to these others, right? What's really going to set it apart? And this is where you typically have a logo, like a whole brand sheet. You're like, you know, what makes it different? What makes it different? You know, and again, this is for the client to fill out, like what's going to set it apart from these other brands, right? And maybe it's more in touch with today's, you know, youth, for instance. So it's a fresh brand. Okay. It's made in America might be another thing. The differentiators. Okay, it's for men and women. For everyone. We'll just put everyone, right? And maybe that's another selling point, is that it's inclusive, right? And again, I'm making this up as I go along, obviously, right? So if you really wanted to be inclusive, think about like, maybe there isn't a men's and a women's section. It's all just clothes. I don't know. Crazy thought. You know a brand is going to try that at some point. Okay. Oh, it looks a bit like a German employment exchange logo. Interesting. Fascinating. All right. Okay, let me get to creating, everyone. I'm so excited about this, mainly because coffee is kind of kicking in. All right, man, that's some good peppermint coffee. Oh, come on now. I know it's a little early for peppermint coffee. So let's think about this. We could take the actual name of the company, could be Space, and we could have some fun with this. It could be like SPCE. We'll go in here. We'll make sure this is all caps, right? Nice and bold. Problem with this is that it could actually be considered spice. So that's the problem there. Right, we could take this A. What if we take this A and we use the touch type tool to go in here, select this A and move it up. Right? We could also use the touch type tool to actually take it and shrink it down. Right? And make sure that is flush with the top, right? And again, touch type tool allows us to really adjust and tighten up like this kerning if we wanted to. Maybe move this over a little bit. It's a little too tight, right? Just like that. The cool thing about the touch type tool is it's all still on one line. Dot, 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 dot. Right? Cool. Space, that works well. The thing is like, so we're referring to like space, obviously not outer space, but like clothing. So how can we make this look different from the NASAs of the world, right? We want it to be like Chanel and not like NASA. These actually are both sans serif, right? And we know sans serifs are pretty popular right now. But I tend to think that serif fonts are like a little bit more classic and get used more in fashion. So if we go and search on all the brands out there, you're going to have more of the, serif look, right? Again, you have to have all the resources to kind of back up, what you're saying here. So I would need this as part of the pitch meeting. Take this again. All caps. I love all caps. Make it nice and bold, right? And again, this is just our starting point, so you can kind of see just where you'd start out, right? We could do the Zara route. Hold down Option, Command, and then right arrow, and we're spacing that out, right? Just like that. So that essentially adjusts the kerning, right? So this could be a new version, right? Now, I do want to, emphasize that creating a logo isn't like it's not like typing in the name and picking a font. That's where a lot of people start. It's totally fine, right? It's totally fine to start there. But know that it's not just about picking a font and calling it a day. What? We're not Olive Garden, right? You know Olive Garden. That actually starts to look a lot like The Gap. See what we did there? Like, still kind of looks like a fashion brand. But yeah, we'll go ahead and keep both of these. Push them off to the side. Right? What I do like about this is that this feels like a label on clothing, like the inside of a shirt. We can kind of see that. So we could see this, like, where would this be used? Well, the inside of a shirt, right here, we would have small, medium, large, XL. Give me a second. Wait for it. Wait for it. Right, so you can kind of just see how this is going to look in place on sort of a label, right? And but since this is an American brand, we would have XXL and then XXXXL. Jerk. Such a jerk. Right, and this is a medium shirt, so take this, crank that up to like 7 if we want to. And even use the touch type tool to move this even down, right? Again, because it's going to be easy. Put this on one line, boom, like that. And now you can see that this is the size of the shirt is a medium. But that's just an example of it in place. Necklace. Ooh, is that what it's called? Oh, Marcus, I'm learning something every day. It's a necklace tag, right? We can make it look further like a necklace tag. And just to mainly separate it from outer space, which is kind of one of the biggest problems I'm seeing, maybe. But let's grab a line. This, we'll drag down this line. And yeah, we'll of course make this look dashed. And I'm sorry if I've been ignoring chat out there on YouTube. And oh, so sorry, Muriel. And Killy. Good to see you, Victor. My kind of TV. I agree, Victor. That's awesome. This is my kind of TV. So you can you could learn, but mainly just hang out, you know? It's amazing what, you can learn from others. Or what you can pick up just by hanging out. Okay, so this should be a dashed line. 12 points. Way too large. Try 1. So is 0.5. That's way too big. 1. Way too big. Okay, but there we just added these dashed lines on either side. And I feel like this starts to emphasize like stitching and separates it from space as well. Okay. And again, we can get creative with this. We know when it comes to fabric, it's all organic. So we can still play with this some more. So we'll even select these lines and adjust the width using this width profile. Let's select this first one, right? And now it's sort of thick and thin, right? Just a different way to emphasize this. But I'm doing this literal word mark, and I'm not convinced that this is the way to go, right? I like the idea of like And again, darn it, I really want to use a circle, but I don't want this to look like outer space. Let's do this. Let's take this. And if something isn't working, do the exact opposite of it. Here we go, space. We're gonna kind of have an in and out with this one, right? So here we have, again, still kind of gap-ish looking, seeing as we're using that, like that square. But from here, again, space that out a little bit more. Right, and again, another option for just a really elegant brand. Still feels a little mature, just to be honest with you. So if it's like in touch with today's youth, this doesn't say youth to me. This says high-end fashion brand, right? So still need to work on that. Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm at. I need to think of what's a good youth brand out there? I like Marine Layer a lot, but that's... Here we go. The clothing brand Marine Layer. That's what they did. Love it. Right? Very cool. There's Lululemon. Right? Which has this logo, which I assume this is somebody's hair, but I don't know for sure. Right? But I'm just kind of cross-checking this with other popular brands. If you guys have other popular brands, would love to see them. Yeezys. Oh, great. E-Z. I even have to spell it out. Yeezys logo. Is there a logo for Yeezys? Okay, that's all it is. Ooh, I like that bar. That is clever. Yeah, you know what? Ooh, Matix. Oh, thank you so much, Chris. M-A-T-I-X. Brand. Okay, into that. I actually read that as 2 A's, but yeah, I guess it's an M. Looks like an eagle. That's cool. Right? Here you're trying too hard. You know what? Youth isn't freaking putting stuff in cursive or making it look like graffiti. That doesn't say youth to me. It says it's an old person's idea of what a youth brand would look like, in my opinion. 686 brand. Oh yeah, that's cool too. Really into that. Never said I liked it. Sarah, you're nailing it. You know what? Because the thing is like I'm not designing for me. I'm actually even the wrong demographic for this. Yeah. So just kind of keep that in mind. But again, we're giving ourselves options right in here. I think this does look good. I do something with the S and the P. Do we think about just doing something super basic? I don't know. I'm still working on this. It's a work in progress. And guess what? We're not going to get this all done in 1 hour. I like the idea of taking, this is what an S is, and this is what a P is. So let's tighten this up. There we go. I'm kind of getting off of my pasteboard here. Let's move this stuff over. Give me more room. Hey, does this happen to you like all the time? But like I easily start out on an artboard, but then I'm like clear in the corner before I know it. So again, I typically don't worry about artboards. Shift Command H, kind of hide that. Can we make an S and a P? And can we make them look like space? So this already says super tight. It's not saying space. We're like thinking elegant, you know, saying, hey, you know what? It's been a rough couple years, but you know what? You're worth it. That's what I'm trying to say. You're worth it. I'm going to turn this into an S. So we'll come in here, Yeah, we'll just grab, squinting my eyes, cutting this in parts, cutting this one. Maybe it's a good idea, maybe it's a bad idea, huh? Just really reducing this down to its basic components, right? It still says S and P, right, as a starting point, because clients love that. But here's kind of the basic components of an S and a P. Let's move this off to the side for space, like this. There we go. So there we have sort of an abstract version of the logo. A lot of times you'll want to encompass something into a circle or a square because the elements tend to kind of like float around. So it's a pretty common practice. Whether it's doing this any favors or not, right? You're going to keep adding to it, and then you're going to start removing from your particular logo and making many copies. How you guys doing, huh? You guys having a wonderful day? Today's a full day of Masterclass. Masterclasses, and then the next week we have Adobe Max. So everybody's working like mad on that stuff. I still am going to go back to this one. Yeah, we could use something called the, gosh, why am I? Sacred geometry. Let's take a look really fast. Here we go. Maybe this will help us. Maybe it won't. I've had worse ideas. There's something called sacred geometry. So you're out of ideas. You're like, okay, I'm going to go back to the drawing board. I might work with a golden mean, right? I could use something like this just as a guide because I think this is kind of cool, right? Can we take this and just have some fun coming up with a logo using this sacred geometry? Let's throw in some more artboards. And gosh, I'm only down to my last minute. I really don't have time for this. But what I would do is try to use something like this and say, hey, you know what? And again, we did this earlier. We kind of started the hour with it, you know, but can we sort of find an S in here? And sure enough, I see one right. I lied, I only see part of an S. But can we do something with this? As just a starting point rather than starting with like a blank page. Kind of need this to cut across. There's definitely a P in here. But yeah, that is sacred geometry. You can use this if it's going to help you as a guide, right? Da-da-da-da. And quickly see that maybe that won't work for you. Because I don't think it's doing me any favors right now. Is it? It's kind of a cool shape. Looks like a bolt. So, yeah, you get the idea. Is that available for download? As always, Kelly, you know what? And I'm so sorry, I don't even have my social media up here. But hit me up on social media. Like, send me a message, and then I'll send it. I'll send this file to you if you want it. Okay, and that would be, you know, you guys could even have my email, ptrani@adobe.com, or I can give you all my social in a second. Thanks so much for hanging out with me, everybody. I appreciate ya. You guys are awesome. And I'm going to turn it over to We have a daily creative challenge today, and Terry White is going to be up as well. A Metreon cube it is. Yep, you got it. You're good, Adenor. Good call. But thanks so much for hanging out. Appreciate you guys. So, yeah, I'll see you guys in a little bit as I dive into the Photoshop Masterclass. It's going to be a lot of fun today as well. So thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you soon. See ya.